Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm back with something new for you guys to enjoy. Basically, what if Naruto was Gilgamesh? If you have no idea who that is, he's a part of the Fate/Stay Night series, guys. If you want to go ahead and check out who that character is before this story begin, guys, you can, but I'll be focusing on who exactly he is in the Naruto universe, and I'll be going over his abilities and powers, so there is nothing to worry about. So yeah, just sit back, place your foot up and relax and enjoy. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels if you're new. Yes, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we begin this now, guys? We begin this brand new episode with Jiraiya of the Sannin. Rasengan. The man muttered as he shoved the ball of energy right into a person's stomach. The person's body spiraled as they were thrown by the backlash of the technique. They crashed through several trees. The Sannin ran towards the wall that was ahead of him. Another Rasengan in hand, he plunged it, breaking through the wall. His gaze swept over the entire place until he found what he was looking for. Inside of what seemed to be a homemade cell was 2 people, 2 girls to be quite exact. They looked up towards him as one of them stepped forward to protect her younger sister. He raised a hand showing that he was here to help. "Don't worry," he said. "I've taken care of the guards. Your mother was the one that sent me," he said. Both women hearing that felt a heavy weight lift off their shoulders. When they heard the chaos, they were getting worried, believing that they were coming to end their life. However, it turns out their savior had arrived. The older one, who stand by her sister's side, looked towards the Sannin. "What about that ogre?" she said. "Did you get him too?" she asked, a fearful look in her eyes, as protective as she was. That wasn't someone that she could defeat to protect her sister. However, they had not laid hands on them because they wanted to use them as a bargaining chip. "Oh, don't you worry," said Jiraiya. "He's being taken care of as we speak." The man that was referred to as the ogre. The name was rather fitting. The man stood at 7 feet. Yes, 7 feet tall. He was muscular, muscles upon muscles. The man was a behemoth, if there was ever was one. He possessed a club in his hand, a very powerful one made from a special material, perhaps even stronger than steel. He swinged it. However, the person that he swinged after flipped away as they calmly landed a distance away from him. The person stood on what seemed to be a podium, glancing down towards him. The ogre was rather pissed off. He was physically strong, powerfully so, but he was not in charge. He was the one that was being used by the true leader of this entire thing. The true leader was a man. However, he was not doing so good. Over to the side, strange golden gates that seemed like wormholes was all over the place. Chains, golden chains that came from them and wrapped around a man with short brown hair. His eyes were furious. He screamed at the ogre. "Kill him already," he yelled. "He's just a damn brat." The ogre beat down hard in rage. Well, well, well. Would you look at that? Even with all that strength and power, you're simply a mere pawn. A waste of life. Nothing useful of your own, just something to be controlled. Isn't that right, ogre? Shut your mouth, the ogre said in rage. As the person that was talking to him was a child, no older than 13 years old. He possessed spiky blonde hair. His eyes looked rather dangerous, as they were red, and the pupils were like slits, like a snake, giving him a very ominous look. His whole frame was clad in a golden armor that seemed to stick to his body like a second skin. However, it was incredibly durable and also very light, given the way he flipped and moved. This was special, very special. The armor had black linings running through it. As he folded his arm, gazing down towards the ogre. So what will it be? Running around like the pawn that you are doing what you are told. Stop listening to that damn brat and kill him already. The young boy turned his gaze towards the true leader of this operation. I thought I told you to stay quiet. The tip of the chain had what seemed to be the end of a spear on it. A golden spear as it spun, before it shot forward and teared through the man's skull like it was made of paper. His lifeless corpse collapsing down, the chains holding him in place. The ogre saw the chain link running towards him as he slammed it away. With the club in his hand, he roared as he rushed forward. He brought the club down and obliterated the platform that the young boy stood on, but he flipped over. He was about to land, however. One of those gates opened up as a blade base appeared as he landed on top of it. Is that all you got? The ogre bent his knees before he jumped and swung. The boy held his hand out as a blue coated blade appeared in his hand. He slammed it against the club. There was a violent shock wave of electricity. The ogre was blasted down as he winced out in pain, electricity running through him. His body was smoking, however, he was far from done. You're nothing but a coward, you brat. Why don't you come down here and see which one of us will walk away from this? I'm afraid that you're not worth my time. After all, you're just a wild behemoth. Maybe close to an animal then. You are close to an actual human. And I don't waste my time on garbage. 7 gates open up behind the young boy as tips of blades start to appear out of them. Before they shot forward, the ogre was able to block the first one, but 2 slipped into his shoulders. Another ripped through his stomach, before one teared through his throat. His body was pinned down to the ground. The boy landed down on his chest. As I said, nothing but an animal. The boy stayed calmly, walking off as all of his weapons proceeded to vanish, returning back to their location. 2 more gates opened up as the chains came out and wrapped around the ogre and the leader as it started to drag them on the ground, pulling them along like the garbage that they were. Meanwhile, the Sanin had just freed the young ladies as they were heading back when they heard something. Both girls got behind him as Jiraiya prepared himself. However, Naruto, the Sanin said. The young boy, now identified as Naruto, stepped forward as the 2 bodies were lifted up off the ground. You said that this would be a challenge. But this was nothing but a waste of time, said Naruto as he tossed the 2 lifeless corpses on the ground. As he turned and walked away, finding this nothing but a waste of his precious time. Time skip. You know, you didn't have to be so rude. Rude? What is so rude about having something to do and somewhere to be? All they were doing was just wasting our time. Come on. The woman was being grateful. We saved her kids. She was thankful. Well, it's already over, and I found her thanks quite boring. I've told you this on multiple occasions, but soon enough that attitude of yours will come back to bite you within the ass. Tuh, says you, said Naruto as he kept on walking. There is no possible reason why I must lower my standard to someone that cannot best me in battle. You promised me a worthy challenge several times now, but all that you have made me fought is hooligans who can't even stand up to one of my blades. All of this is simply boring, Naruto said as he gazed around. Jiraiya sighed. He had no idea where the attitude came from. Neither Kushina or Minato was like this at all. But this child, on the other hand, he was blessed. Maybe he was blessed from the heavens, blessed by some deity that the Sannin wasn't aware of, but he was just 13 years old and yet he possessed abilities that would put at least all Jonin to shame. Jiraiya did not see a Jonin being able to best Naruto. The worst part about it was long range. He had this special ability known as the Gate of Babylon. Inside, it was a storage area for weapons that were not from this world. Jiraiya had seen them, and he knew of no mastery, no swordsmith that possessed these weapons. Some of them possess rather powerful abilities. Upon asking, Naruto said that he's lived before this life. It was complicated, but the great elder Toad seemed to understand what he was speaking of. Reincarnation. One that has lived before this life and yet born without memories, but still a quite great understanding of what he was able to do. Speaking about his strengths and powers, he possessed abilities that many in this world never even heard of. Not to mention he did not possess chakra. What he had was spiritual magic, which was not in this world. However, over the years that he grew, he was able to recall certain things from the past life that he once lived. He was Minato and Kushina's son, but it seems like he was that person as well, and that is where the arrogance came from. Jiraiya always found this rather mind-blowing when thinking about it, because looking at that possibility meant that other worlds were out there. And Naruto was from one of these other worlds, but he could not recall who he was. Yet he could recall the things that he could do. Jiraiya had no doubt in his mind that Naruto was going to become one of the greatest shinobis to ever live. His problem was his arrogance. He was too damn arrogant for his own good, and that was his biggest problem. So where are we going now? Naruto asked without looking behind him. Konoha. Naruto paused as he gazed towards Jiraiya. What? Time skip. The hidden leaf. Hiruzen Sarutobi was seated within his office as he was looking at the reports in front of him. Throughout the time being on the road, Jiraiya had sent reports on Naruto. A lot. Naruto was a very special child. Hiruzen knew that from the moment he saw him, those red eyes peering into his very soul. However, with everything going on, he had to put Naruto aside within the orphanage. But that quickly changed when Naruto almost split the orphanage matriarch head open with an axe that came from one of his gates, and that happened when he was 4 years old. Hiruzen had not paid much attention, but when he finally got to speak with the boy, he did not speak like a 4-year-old. He spoke like an adult, a very arrogant adult who did not see anyone around him as his equal. He almost killed at least a dozen people on several occasions, some of those people being kids. Hiruzen had to move him for their own safety. However, while he was trying to understand Naruto abilities, it turns out that Naruto possessed far more abilities that Hiruzen didn't know of. Abilities that allow him to find out who his parents were. Naruto could use his eyes to gaze into yours, to understand everything about you. He could also use his ability on himself as well. But while using this on himself when he was younger, there was no limits. He could see himself as a baby and see his mother and father as they took their final breaths. He knew what he was. He knew that he possessed the 9 tails. Hiruzen was worried upon Naruto finding out that information, but it just made him more cocky, knowing that he wasn't born of any normal family, that he had the bloods of legends running through his veins, and he was not gonna settle for any less. Hiruzen tried to get Naruto an apartment, but Naruto destroyed the entire place. Literally, he burned it down to the ground and spat upon Hiruzen's generosity, saying the apartment was for a lesser being, nowhere close to himself. Jiraiya. Hiruzen had called him back to the village, where the both had met, and they talk, and they also fight because Naruto wanted to fight a Sannin. Jiraiya was shocked that a child 4 years old could do this. As they studied Naruto's biological makeup, he didn't possess chakra. He was the one that filled them in on things that he started to remember from his past life. At first they did not believe him, but it was all there for them to see. So yes, he was no normal child. Despite what Hiruzen wanted, Naruto told everyone who his parents were. He literally walked around telling them that, the ones that believed that he was a monster, as he just told them to see the look on their face, to let them know that he was their better. Jiraiya believed that it was for the best that Naruto went with him, to learn how to control these powers and to learn how to control himself as well. However, throughout these letters, it did not seem like it was any better than before. While the boy has grown, it seems like his arrogance had gotten even worse. Hiruzen had to make an announcement to the village that Naruto Namikaze was currently traveling with Jiraiya. However, he will return as a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. Many was happy to hear that the lineage of one of their greatest Hokage was not completely gone. Majority of people did not know about Naruto being the host of the 9 Tails, since he was taken so young. The reason why Hiruzen had to make the announcement was because Naruto was telling people about who he was in the outside world. Jiraiya had sent back a message. He was trying to find a challenge, believing that his father's enemies would come after him. Extremely stupid thing to do, but his arrogance once again showed to be one of his greatest problems and flaws to this day. And Hiruzen was worried about that, because not even Jiraiya, despite the time that he's been spending with him, was able to change that about the boy. Time skip. Both Naruto and the Sannin were making their way. As they arrived towards the gates, "Hey, hold it." It was Izumo that spoke, as they saw the young boy simply walking beyond the gate's parameters. His gaze turned towards them before he simply turned away as he started to walk. "Hey, I said ho." Izumo paused as he saw Jiraiya of the Sannin stepping close behind the boy. As Jiraiya went over there to speak to them, as they were returning from their long trip, it seems like he was a spitting image of his father, not to mention with the 2 bangs coming down in his face. As Naruto gazed around, people start to notice him, and with the old pervert nearby, it seems like they knew who he was already. Well, he has been telling people who he was while he was on the road. Him and the Sannin had been all over, and they've met a lot of people. They come to blows with a lot of people as well, most of it because of Naruto and his arrogance. Naruto did not believe himself to be arrogant. He simply believed that he was better than most people. Yes, far, far better than most people. And they should understand that, as people were whispering and talking. However, he didn't like this. The only reason why he was spreading that he was his father's son was because he wanted a challenge. But he hated the popularity because of his father's name. However, he was going to show all of them who he was. That he wasn't just a shadow to his old man. Well, at least his father was someone to be respected by many. At least he could give him that. Naruto thought as he calmly made his way, stepping off the path that they were going, as Jiraiya threw an arm on his shoulder. "We're heading to the office," he said. "Come on." With that, they proceeded to make their way. Time skip, Hiruzen knew that they were here, as he sat and waited. When the door opened up as Jiraiya stepped inside, Naruto walked in as well. His gaze looked around the room. "It seems much has not changed since my departure," he said. "That's a disappointment." As he walked over and sat down, leaning back, he wasn't wearing the golden armor anymore. He was simply wearing a black long sleeve, with blue linings on the side, a white t-shirt underneath, long black pants, and sandals, a comfortable clothing. "My Naruto, you have grown quite a lot," Hiruzen said in a friendly, grandfatherly way, as Naruto gaze fully turned towards the old man. "It is needed, although it does come to surprise most." "What do you mean?" Hiruzen said, looking towards him. "Well, most tend to underestimate me because of my height and young age. I enjoy seeing the looks on their face when they realize that the both of us are leagues away from each other, and they cannot compare to me," Naruto said, leaning back. "However, in a suitable time, that will change, and the whole nations will know of my name," he said. "Well, if they don't already." "Yes, about that. What were you thinking about spreading the information on who you are?" "I presume the pervert over there enlightened you about what exactly I was doing. I was looking for worthy opponents who wouldn't waste my time. He promised me missions that would help me to fight someone that would give me a challenge, but all he did was waste my time through the past couple of years." Jiraiya wiped a hand down his face. "As you can see, he's a lot worser than before. Arrogant. Doesn't like to listen to orders. Most time I'm tempted to simply knock him over the head for him to follow and listen to what I say." "You say that like it would be easy," said Naruto as he got to his feet. "I believe that you two have a lot to talk about. I'm going to explore the village," he said. "Before that though, when will you be bestowing the title of Sannin upon me?" Hiruzen blinked. "What are you talking about?" As Jiraiya simply shook his head. "I said, when are you going to bestow the same title that this one possessed?" Naruto said. "First of all, I wasn't the one to give them that title. And secondly, even if I could, I wouldn't give it to you." "Have you not informed him about my achievement?" said Naruto. "Yes, I have, but that doesn't make you a Sannin." Hiruzen said, looking towards him. "I had thought that being with Jiraiya would have fixed your attitude somewhat, but it seemed to have not changed. And you will be starting from the bottom going up. Despite your strength, you will be placed on a Genin team, where you will be taking orders from a Jonin sensei. It will be up to you to rise through the ranks and become a Jonin, and maybe something even greater one day," he said. "However, that attitude of yours will not help." "You must be joking," Naruto said, looking towards him. "I'm afraid not," Hiruzen said. "After all I can do, you wish to place me at the rank of the kids. The kids that could barely handle a weapon. You must be joking. Tell me, where is the team to laugh?" Naruto said, gazing around. "Or perhaps it's the hidden guards that you have," he said, as he pinpointed all of the envoys with his eyes. They were surprised. Hiruzen as well. Jiraiya not so much. "I'm afraid it's no joke," he said. "You will be starting from the bottom going up. I can't afford to give you any special treatment just because of your name." Naruto's red eyes focused on Hiruzen as their gaze locked for a long while. Envoys wonder if he was going to attack the Hokage. Jiraiya did not seem bothered though, as he seemed rather calm and nonchalant despite the look that Naruto was giving Hiruzen. "Fine," he said, as he relented. "I shall go and explore the village now," he said. He simply walked away. Hiruzen was surprised. He gave up quicker than I thought. While it is best that you give him the rank of a genin, so that he can rise up the ranks. He hasn't given up. Far from it. He simply accepted what you say, but he is going to do something. Like, Hiruzen asks. Well, perhaps annihilate all of the threats on any missions that you send him on. Well, that's not exactly bad. Well, the way that he's going to do it, you will understand. He's very angry, but the thing about him is he's not gonna get angry for anyone's expense. He believed that it would make him seem beneath you, as if you're making him upset. The kid is too prideful and arrogant for his own good, but trust me, he's going to do something. But don't worry, as arrogant as the little bastard is, he's not showed any motives or any indication that he would ever step against the hidden leaf. Or neither of us, he said. Jiraiya proceeded to sit down. You know, I thought it would be good. A treasuring moment, hanging out with my godson for a few years. But it's been a nightmare. The kid is downright awful in the way he treats people. He can disrespect you in one sentence without even catching a break. Call you all sorts of names. He sees himself above everyone, and that tend to make him hold back greatly in his battles, not utilizing any of the special abilities that he possesses, because he don't believe that you deserve it. To this day, I'm not sure if there's a limit to his weapon, or the limits to his ability. For one thing though, his strength, stamina, and speed are on a completely different level. And he's right about one thing as well. He will be making a name for himself. A name that is possibly bigger than any of the former Hokages that this village has ever had, and any ninja that has ever walked this earth before. As arrogant as he is, there's a reason why he's so arrogant. For someone so young, it still amazes me to this day how much power that little frame of his possesses. I can't imagine how this power will grow when he reaches late teens. If he's so frightening now, Jiraiya said. I was thinking about this when you told me about how his attitude hasn't changed. And I think I have an idea how I can get him to become more relaxed and blend with his age group, Hiruzen said. And what exactly is that? Jiraiya asks. Meanwhile, Naruto was making his way, as he refused to get angry, to let another rile him up, who he did not believe is superior than him. Yes, he might be the Hokage, yes, he might be the strongest one in the village. However, Naruto himself does not know his limits. His gates possess so many weapons with so many different abilities. The old man might have the experience over him, but thinking about it, if he has lived a life before this, he does not. But Naruto believed if it truly came down to it, if he used all of his power, he could defeat the old man. And besides, he was still young. He could feel himself getting stronger. The power that he once had was coming back in a small quantity over the years, and it was still returning, nowhere near its limits. Over the years, he had noticed that more and more weapons were entering his vaults. Not just weapons though, all sorts of things. Things that the elemental nation did not possess at all. As Naruto was looking forward to see the entirety. However, that was a problem though. What if he became so strong there was no one left to challenge him? Life would become repetitive and boring. Perhaps if he becomes too strong, he could take the darker path and become something dark and wicked. For the righteous and the good heart to try and fight him and stop him. However, even then, it would be boring because they wouldn't stand a chance against him. As Naruto sighed, hoping that he does not truly become that powerful, that unlimited. He needs challenges in life. The only one that he's faced in his past that actually gave him a good challenge was Reiga. They left on good terms. Well, they tried to cut each other to pieces, but the Sannin finished the mission, so Reiga was no longer needed, as he could not stop what was already going on. His goal was to kill their target, but the Sannin got her towards her destination safe. But Reiga was still out there, and Reiga did say that he was not the strongest swordsman that was alive. He told him of another. There was Zabuza Mamakai, but he was the one that he said was the strongest. They called him the tailless tail beast, Kisame. He was looking forward to meeting this Kisame and more S-rank missing ninjas. While Reiga was powerful, he was nowhere S-rank. The Sannin was more powerful than him after all. Him and the Sannin trade blows on countless occasions, but the Sannin was always holding back against him. Neither of them fought to their full potential, but as much as a pervert the Sannin is, he respected his strength. As Naruto went around the village, people were smiling at him, waving at him, worshipping him. Well, at least they knew who to respect, Naruto thought, as he calmly made his way around. He walked until he found himself near the academy. He remembered this place when he used to live here, but then there was other people attending, other generation of students. As he calmly walked, a black blade appeared in his hand as he sliced through the fence and proceeded to step through. As he heard some things, Naruto arrived as he found a bunch of kids, along with a few adults. There were 2 kids in the center of the arena, and they were fighting off against one another. It was a boy with black spiky hair, dark eyes facing off against another, with brown hair and dark eyes, with 2 red markings on his cheek. Naruto watched as the dark-haired boy completely dominated the brown-haired one. However, he was gravely disappointed upon the dark-haired boy winning. They spoke his name, Sasuke Uchiha, as many of the girls were screaming and yelling until Naruto spoke. Pathetic. Everyone turned their gaze towards him. A majority of the girls wanted to get mad, however, Naruto was incredibly handsome, even more so than Sasuke. His very creation was perfection. They were shocked as they expected to turn to one of the boys that was jealous of their Sasuke-kun, but Inoue Yamanaka, one of the head of this little group, was shocked. So was Sakura, as they found themselves speechless, gazing at the blonde. Sasuke, on the other hand, wondered who the hell this was as Kiba gazed over, wondering who this was as well. All the boys and all the girls thinking the same. Aruka approached, wondering who it was. Who are you? He said. My name is Naruto Namikaze, he said. Namikaze? Wait, are you the son of the 4th Hokage I've been hearing about? You've heard of me. Fantastic, said Naruto as he stepped forward. Now, as I was saying, that battle of yours was quite pathetic. Sasuke stepped forward as their glares met. How about you take his spot, and we'll see who is pathetic, Sasuke said, as Naruto got a little smile on his lips. Is that so? Let me ask you something first. Are you the strongest here? Naruto turned his gaze back towards Uchiha. Sasuke gazed, confirmed what Naruto needed to know. He turned his gaze towards the sensei. I presume you're the one in charge here. Know that I'm back to the village, I will become a genin just like him right here. I presume this is the final year. Am I wrong? No, you're correct. Ah, that's good. So the both of us will be fighting. Think of it as a first test, for you to see how strong I am, given that I was absent through your class. Naruto said, as his gaze was still fixated on Sasuke, who was ready to beat the living crap out of him. Normally, I wouldn't agree to something like this. However, for this special circumstance, Sasuke is on track to be in the Rookie of the Year. I wouldn't mind testing your strength just to see how much you match up against him. Put them against each other, Aruka, Mizuki, the assistant sensei, said, and let us see how the future of Konoha would be faring, he said. The girls were conflicted. They wanted to cheer for Sasuke, but some of them found themselves stuck on Naruto looks. His gaze was so captivating, his eyes mysterious and deadly. Naruto stepped in the ring. Before the match began, formed the unison sign. "What the hell is that?" said Naruto. "A sign to show that this is a spar between comrades. Future friends, I must presume," Iruka said. Sasuke begrudgingly held out his hand, wanting to beat this guy into next week. He couldn't remember the last time someone got under his skin so much, with just a few words. However, Naruto slapped Sasuke's hand away. "I will not bow myself to your level," forming a damn unison sign. "Begin," Naruto said. He stepped into Sasuke's guard and backhanded him. Iruka was not happy about this, as he moved to step forward until a blade slammed down in front of him. "It would be wise for you to remain where you are," said Naruto. His gaze flickered towards Mizuki. The man was frozen where he stood. Sasuke was back as he threw a fist. Naruto ducked underneath it and dodged. When Sasuke brought his leg up, Naruto then grabbed the ankle and spun, throwing Sasuke back. With pure raw speed, Naruto beat Sasuke through, as he appeared behind him and grabbed him by the shoulder, before plummeting him down to the earth. Sasuke's eyes went wide as he rolled away as Naruto stomped and broke the ground. Sasuke decided to use speed as he tried to run around Naruto, finding an opening as he struck, swinging a kick. However, Naruto simply stretched out his hand and grabbed Sasuke's leg before slamming him into the earth. Sasuke tried to get up, but Naruto gripped him by the throat, before releasing him as he punched him 3 times. Tremendous pain flooded through the Uchiha's body as he tried to regain his breath. However, his foot was knocked away as Naruto's hand slammed his chest down into the ground. As Naruto placed a blade right at his forehead, Iruka flashing by Naruto's side. "Stop this now," he said. "I'm done," said Naruto. "There is no need to worry. And do not try to touch me," he said, as Iruka's arm was rearing to grab Naruto's. The blade in Naruto's hand dissipated. If this is really the future of this village, I must say, I'm highly disappointed. Nothing so far has impressed me. As I said before, pathetic. As Naruto turned and started to walk away, leaving many of them shocked. But actually, majority of the girls like that. His bad boy attitude, not taking crap, not even from Iruka sensei. Given that most of the students always listen and do as they were told. Well, this was surprising. Time skip. Naruto proceeded to walk back into the office, as the old man was alone this time. "What did you do at the academy?" Hiruzen said, looking up from the papers in front of him. "I simply challenged the best that the academy has to offer, and I must say, disappointing is not even the word. Is this really what the next generation of ninja is starting out from? Everyone has to start out from somewhere. Those kids are being trained and guided by the best teachers that we have to be the best they can be. They're still young. With time they will grow. You seem quite confident in your statement, but I believe otherwise. When will I be partaking in missions?" "Well, if you would have waited until I finished explaining before you headed off. You're going to attend the academy 6 days from now, where you will be assigned to a team. Upon being assigned to a team, your Jonin sensei will be responsible of your training and growth, and you will listen to your sensei. Am I understood?" Hiruzen said, making it very clear that Naruto understood what he was exactly saying. The child need to be shown that he need to work well with others if he was going to be a part of this village. His attitude was very against that. However, he need to understand. Once again, Naruto simply stared at him. The Anvus once again felt it, the off-putting look in his eyes. His red gaze looking towards Hiruzen, but Hiruzen did not back down. "Yes, I understand," said Naruto. He was really strange sometimes. Now, For your lodgings, Hiruzen said. No, I'll be able to take care of myself. The last time you tried to place me in a home, you placed me in what seemed to be something fit for a garbage human being. Not again. As you can see. One of the gates opened up as it started to pour gold coins and cash out. I am quite comfortable of taking care of myself. Ah, Jiraiya told me about your good luck. Hiruzen said, remembering what the Sannin said. It was like Naruto could not be physically broke. Yes. It seems like money always found a way to be around him. He was truly blessed in that regard. They have been to at least 20 casinos over the past few years, and every time, the manager there had to tell them to leave, because Naruto was always bankrupting the place. So yes, there was nothing for him to worry about when it came to money. Besides, he had a rather high quality and a high taste. I'll be staying within your finest hotel until my palace is constructed. Your palace? Yes, something that is fitting for someone like my stature, said Naruto, as another gate swallowed up all the coins and the cash. As Naruto simply proceeded to walk away. Hiruzen was kind of worried about the pauses within his statement when he spoke to Naruto or gave him an order. Like he wanted to fight against it, but he was stopping himself from doing so. Jiraiya did say that he would not move against his village, or neither will he take a defensive turn against his village. However, given someone of his, well, stature and attitude and cockiness and arrogance, most would think that he would simply do not listen or try to flee, but here he was, doing as he was told. As Hiruzen wondered. Time skip. Naruto stepped outside as the Sannin found him. He would be leaving the village soon enough, however, he has a little bit of research to do. Naruto scoffed, knowing what that means. Will you be alright on your own? I'm not some sort of needed child, said Naruto. That's not what I meant. It's the first time that you will be left alone, he said. If you haven't forgotten, I was an orphan in my first few years. So take that into account. Yes, but that changed ever since we met, Jiraiya said. While your company was not that awful, it is not that needed all the time around, said Naruto. I'll be just fine, he said. And besides, with me here, there is nothing that will befall this village. Even if it does, you know that all sorts of danger would be annihilated. Naruto said, just remember not to be so cocky and arrogant. And listen to your Jonin sensei. You have the skills, you have the talent to become something great. Don't let that damn attitude get the better of you. I'll be popping in every now and again. After all, a Chunin exams is being held in Konoha in a couple of months. I already know that you will be a part of that. Jiraiya said to him. Well, see you later, he said. Naruto simply turned and walked away. Sometimes the Sannin wonder if Naruto had feelings of empathy and sorrow, because he's never seen him shown them before. The first time he took someone's life, it was a bandit, and he did not even batter an eye. He split his skull open like a watermelon, and yet he was so calm about it. However, Jiraiya has been with the kid for long enough to know that he would not do anything stupid as being a threat to his own village. As arrogant as he was, he wanted to lead. He wanted to command. He enjoyed when people praise him and bow down to him. Jiraiya had noticed that over the past couple of years. Well, things might be a bit hectic with what Hiruzen proposed with that team, but still, perhaps it would be a ray of sunshine and good luck, and they will somehow get along. Time skip. Stepping into the hotel, the people there greeted him well. They were smiling, they were happy to see him here. The last name Namikaze hold a lot of weight, as Naruto booked the dearest room. The most high quality stuff. He wouldn't settle for anything less. and there was no chance of him running out of money anytime soon, so yes, he would be quite fine. Minato did have a lot of savings saved up, and also Kushina was the last Uzumaki within the village. All of the treasures of the Uzumaki clan that were recovered was given off to her, and there was a lot of things that were sold, very expensive things, and all of that was placed in the account for Naruto for the future, and now he had access to it all, along with his own vast amount of cash. He was extremely well off, so there was nothing to worry about. The following few days were surprisingly quiet. Well, many had seen Naruto now, and many were not liking his attitude, especially how he speak to many civilian people like they were less than him, and he did not hold back at all. He was worse than many of the Hyugas, and they were known as some of the most arrogant because of their clan name. However, on the night before, there was a problem. There was an attack, and the scroll of sealing was missing. The scroll of sealing was a special scroll containing all sorts of special abilities. Hiruzen already knew that Naruto was going to use this to say that he was actually failing as a leader. The boy had made it known on several occasions that he wasn't the leader that he thought he was, allowing Konoha name to weaken over time. Hiruzen was also upset about this as well. The fact that someone orchestrated this right under his nose. They found one of the guards dead, the other one missing. Perhaps this was an inside job. And he was right about that as he sent his people out. Mizuki, the former teacher, because he was now fleeing from the village, landed in front of a cabin in the woods. He knocked 3 times on the door. When the guard opened it up, the missing guard. They have been working this con for some time now, working their way, going up in the ranks, until they got what they wanted. Mizuki was actually a double agent. He was working for Orochimaru. While he was not in direct contact with the Sannin, he was on the Sannin side because the Sannin promised him power. And the guard, his name was Aoi. Aoi was not really anyone, just a standard chunin who was in need of money because of his gambling addiction and his very high quality taste, which has put him in a lot of debt. Mizuki had preyed upon that, using it as a way. He was able to confess to the man about his true desires, telling him that the Sannin would make him rich beyond his wildest imagination. Konoha was just holding him back, allowing him from reaching his full potential. He could be what he wanted to be without this village. Mizuki was fully ready to kill Aoi if he had made the wrong move, but they have worked together splendidly over the past few years, even passing information on to the proxy that Orochimaru sent to meet with him because the Sannin did not come in person. However, Mizuki was going to prove that he was reliable by gaining the scroll. Aoi was holding on to the scroll. The Hokage sent his ninjas out to find you. We have to move now, he said. Right, Aoi said as Mizuki started to take a kunai out of his pouch. It was never his intention to share anything with Aoi. He was the only one that did this. I knew it. Mizuki paused as he heard that voice. Standing a distance away, seated in a tree, was Naruto. As stated before, his eyes were very special. The moment his eyes landed on Mizuki, Naruto felt it, he saw it. His eyes were beyond what they were when he was younger. However, he tended to not use them most times because, well, he was too arrogant, believing that he did not need the foresight of his eyes to see one's move similar to the Sharingan, but far beyond it. Mizuki was surprised, Aoi was surprised as well, as Naruto jumped down. Naruto, what are you doing out here? Mizuki said. Cut the crap, you piece of garbage. I already know your intentions. fooling this stupid man in believing that you were working with him when you're plotting to kill him the moment he turned his back. What? I always said, it doesn't really matter because I'll be ending your life anyways. You're a traitor to this village, are you not? Traitors deserve death. No if or but or no going around it. Just pure death. Aoi pulled out a kunai not knowing who to trust. Don't listen to him, Aoi. He is gonna blow our cover. You have to kill him now. He's a damn child, for Christ's sakes. Kill him. Aoi turned towards Naruto. But he's a son of the fourth Hokage. That doesn't matter, he's a brat now. He can't win. You're a chunin, remember that. You're right. Aoi said once again being easily manipulated. Mizuki heard rumors, but he wanted to see. He was not quite aware of Naruto's true power, and he didn't want to slip up and do something stupid. Aoi ran towards Naruto at his fastest. However, to Naruto it was like he was dragging himself on the ground, as several golden discs appeared out of nowhere, manipulated by Naruto. They surrounded him. There are 5 of them in total. Aoi jumped, however the first one slammed into his hand with such force, it threw his arm back. They were known as auto-defensors. Aoi tried to land, but a violent burst of electricity shot from the second and tore into his leg as he dropped, screaming on the ground. I simply don't allow trash like you near me, said Naruto. As they surrounded him before they start to release violent electric strikes, Aoi screamed and screamed and screamed as he was torn apart. Bit by bit, the electricity burned his flesh into nothingness until ashes were left. Mizuki was already running away, using the opportunity to flee after seeing that display, believing that he could use his speed to outmatch Naruto. As Mizuki leaped from tree to tree, suddenly a golden chain shot past him and wrapped around the scroll, yanking it out of his hand. Mizuki was baffled as Naruto reached up and caught the scroll. He placed it to the side as Mizuki grit his teeth and pulled the Fuma shuriken off his back, until Naruto held out his hand as a blade started to manifestate right in his palm. Durandal, the peerless sword. However, it was truly a spear. It was a sword once. Naruto had no idea how he knew some of these things, as he could not recall his past life, who he was. However, things like these, the weapons that he possessed, the abilities that he once has, he knew of them. At least in your final moments, I shall purify the land of the scum and violent bacteria that you were, and you left on this land. Naruto says he pulled his arm back. Mizuki attempted to jump, however, when Naruto threw the thing, it picked up such a force. The trees were blown. It spread as a white aura surrounded the spear. Mizuki had jumped, but not fast enough. The thing ripped through his stomach, shocking him. However, the white aura that surrounded it, the kinetic energy that built up when Naruto threw it, it went off, releasing all at once. Everyone was alerted as a violent blast ripped the forest asunder. Countless trees were wiped away, the land was torn up. The spear vanished and returned back towards Naruto's vault. He calmly stepped forward as he stood in the center of the massive crater. Not even a drop remains, Naruto thought to himself. There was a tiny smirk on his face, yet another to fall by my hands. His smirk contradicted the words that he was saying, because he didn't seem to be happy. That is when the Anvus finally flocked down towards him, their weapons drawn. Put away your toys, Naruto said. I must say your responsive time is quite late, given the fact that you wouldn't have found the culprit unless I would have been out here myself. So disappointing. Naruto threw the scroll as the Anvu caught it. As he simply walked away, one of them flashed in front of him. You're coming with us. Is that a command? Said Naruto. Yes, the man said. his gaze looking down towards Naruto. Their eyes met as Naruto looked beyond the mask. However, his body seemed to relax. "Fine," he said, raising his hands. "I'll accompany you." Once again showing that weird personality of accepting despite not wanting to. Whatever it was, well, they weren't quite aware. Hiruzen Sarutobi had pinpointed Naruto. The moment that clash went off, so he was watching from the crystal ball as Naruto was heading toward his office. Time skip. Sasuke was pissed. He has been for the past few days. He was pissed off. He was the #1 boy in the class, and that was how things were until he was humiliated. The girls, most of them, did not seem to mind, as they were still on his side, more so like Sakura and a few others, as it was fully spread about who the other boy was. He was the son of their former Hokage, the 4th Hokage. No wonder why he was so strong, many of them thought. Many of them were looking forward to see him again, but he did not attend the academy until today. The door opened as many of them looked up. Sasuke immediately scowled as Naruto walked inside, his gaze calmly sweeping over everyone within the room before he made his way, as Naruto ignored all their talkings and whispering as he went to the top row and proceeded to sit down as he placed his foot on the table and leaned his head back. Sasuke gazed following the entire way, angry that he was here. Very so. Ino Yamanaka decided to go and introduce herself. Talking to Sasuke was always a or a grunt. Let's see if this one was different. "Hi there," she said, looking down towards him with a smile. "My name is Ino Yamanaka." Naruto gazed down towards her hand as he looked up towards her. "I've been told on several occasions that I have rather handsome features. And yes, I already know that. However, if a woman were to bear my children, she will have to be strong," said Naruto, "to stand by my side. I know my genes will give rather powerful children, but she will be half of that as well. So no," Naruto said. He was done talking. Ino was shocked. She's never been this shocked in her entire life, as Naruto simply turned his head away from her. She literally, for the first time, did not know what to say. Those that overhear what he said was beyond shock, taken aback, as they couldn't imagine what to say after that either. Her embarrassment was spared as Aruka walked in. "Alright everyone, take your seats." As Ino sat back down towards her seat, Aruka gazed up towards Naruto as he heard what happened, as he simply returned back to what he was saying. As Naruto was calm and relaxed, his eyes closed, as he overheard his name, along with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Naruto gazed down as he saw the Uchiha boy, sending him a dead glare. However, Naruto simply looked amused. Weaklings did not deserve to have that look in their eyes. It just looked rather pathetic and harmless. Imagine a tiny little kitten standing up to a ferocious beast. That is what Naruto imagined, as he proceeded to lean back and relax, not giving a damn. While that was going on, at Kumo, the Raikage, a large muscular man with blonde hair, dark eyes, stood on a balcony as he watched. Down below, a girl, no older than 13 years old, dodged several strikes from high-class ninjas. Her blade shattered theirs. She swiped and sliced. They were thrown as they crashed into the wall. She stood there completely unharmed. Around her was at least 20 individuals that lie unconscious, some of them gravely wounded as the medics started to take them away. The Raikage had a smirk on his face. extremely happy of this outcome. His secret weapon, he thought to himself, gazing down towards her. The girl possessed blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a silver armor on her chest, a blue long sleeve underneath. She was wearing armor around her arms. She was wearing a blue skirt, but it seemed like it was connected, which it was not, as there was armor on the side as well. In her hand though was a weapon, a very special blade. This girl wasn't your average ninja. She might be young, however. He could already see it. She was going to be the first female Raikage, and the one to take his spot and become the 5th Raikage. Her name was Yujito. She was a Jinjulki of the two tails. But that is not even what made her so special. It wasn't even the blade. As the Raikage looked down towards her, Yujito looked around at all the unconscious ninjas that surrounded her. Her gaze fixated on the ground below. As her gaze drifted towards her weapon, this weapon, she found it. More like it found her. She was no older than 5 years old when she felt it. Even then she knew that she wasn't normal. Her parents knew that as well. She was blessed. She was different than any other girls her age. And now that she had this weapon, she could feel herself growing vastly stronger as the time went by, unlike many others that did not know why they were here just yet. She already knew what she wanted to do. She wanted to rule her people as a great ruler. And with this blade, its name Excalibur, she will do so. She could feel herself growing stronger day by day. Her strength, despite her age, was great. The Raikage always had high praises to say about her. Even without using the power of the beast inside of her, she was vastly powerful and destructive as well. However, most of the time she felt like there was something out there, something that would truly test her, to push her to her limits and even beyond, for her to realize what kind of leader she would become. She didn't know what that was. What the goal was, she didn't know. She believed that she was beyond this though, that she lived before this life, that she had a life before this one. This blade, no one else could wield it except for her, because she believed she already wielded it in a past life, but she couldn't quite remember it. But that doesn't matter. This was her home and this was her life, and she will accomplish her dreams no matter what. The Raikage was smirking. Over the past few years, Konoha has been gaining a lot of popularity, and with the word about the son of Minato, well, their popularity simply skyrocketed even more. Missions that weren't supposed to be going to them were now going to them. The Raikage couldn't wait till the Chunin exams. For the first time, Kumo will be attending the exams of Konoha, only to demolish them though. And her, she was a secret weapon. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.